Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Spiral Up. I'm your host, Nemo, and it's been a minute. It's been a while. It's been since hmm, June 1st. June 1st was the last episode that I aired. It's been a long time, but was doing a lot in between then, and I feel like right now I am at a place where I have a setup that I could easily just hop right in and just get to recording. So plan to bring it back and really start documenting the spiral up journey. Right, that's the one thing that I set out to do. So where have I been? Right, what have I been up to? So um June was, right towards the end of quarantine lockdown, and I was able to really start the podcast because, I had a lot more free time, and I didn't feel like there was like a barrier for me, and I just wanted to go out and just start it, right? But when I had to get back to work, that's, you know, 40 hours a week, it starts taking up your time. You only have 2 days off in a week, and then you're like, you just feel like you don't have as much time. Now, the reason why I also felt like I didn't have as much time was because I also got hired to film, edit a project for Best Buddies Washington, and I, at the time, felt like I needed to divulge all of my time into this project. The reason being is, it was actually my first fully paid project, and I really wanted to make sure I did a great job because I saw the future potential as this can lead to further connections. This will be on my resume, etc. And I didn't want to distract myself too much with my own projects and hinder my communication with the client and, setting up the photo shoots and, doing all of that on top of my full-time job. So I was like, all right, let me take a break from the podcast, even though it's pretty simple to just like sit in front of the camera and talk in front of a microphone. But at the time I was, that's how I rationalized it. I was just like, I'm doing too much. Let me focus on this, and then we'll see where this goes. Maybe once I get a handle on things, then I'll be able to, bring this back. But um as I will soon find out, as I'm going through, I learned that I wasn't as efficient. I wasn't as organized as I would hope to be. But, that comes from me just not necessarily um, procrastinating, but not understanding the value of having certain checklists in place and systems in place where, I'm working on something every single day, and then by the end I can just easily finish the project. So I learned a lot from that front. I learned a lot about being on a video shoot and, you know, transporting gear, you know, communicating with individuals on how I want shots to be, visualizing where I need to set up, where's the lighting going to be at, how am I going to set up the microphone, what shot am I getting, really double, triple checking everything that I'm doing to make sure that I don't mess up. And, I think it's pretty successful. And I think if you go to my YouTube channel, My I'll probably have it linked on the video version of this down below, but if you want to check out that video, it'll be there so you guys can see what I did. But yeah, learned a lot through that process. But that project has since ended, and it's December. It's December 3rd as of this recording, and it's almost about to be 2021, and 2020 has been a wild ride. Everybody says that, you know. 2020 is like the new curse word. You could just be like, "Oh, 2020." Everybody understands it, you know. You don't even have to explain anything to anyone anymore. You just say 2020 and people just agree, you know, which is kind of crazy. Because at the beginning of the year, nobody could have predicted this. I mean, there were some like telltale signs, but not to this scale, right? Anyways, December 3rd, 2021 is coming up quick. And so I really wanted to get on here and talk about preparing for 2021. And now a lot of people think, why do you have to wait until a new year to start a new habit or a new project or something like that? Well, it's not because it's a new year. And yeah, in reality, you can start something right now. You don't have to wait until a specific date. You don't have to wait until New Year's to, make that change or start working out or going for a walk or running or drinking more water. But the reason why New Year's resolutions are such a huge thing and the new year is such a big thing, it's just like the novelty of it, right? It's a brand new year and people love novelty, and having that fresh start for, whatever you want to embark on kind of is the reason why people, kind of wait until 2021 or I mean, wait for a new year. But it's one thing to wait for that new year, but it's another thing to prepare for the new year. And preparing for the new year is, we got plenty of time. We all know how to write. You got phones, you could type up whatever. There's plenty of apps and calendars and journals. But, you know, you can plan out how you want your year to be. You can be as strict and as detailed as you want, or you can be as lackluster and vague as you want, right? But I think spending the time December to, really dial in what it is that you want, we should all be doing that. And that's what I plan to be doing from now up until the new year. Really determining what it is I want to achieve for 2021, right? Like really, 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 really defining what it is that I want my end goal to be, and then working backwards, right? Creating that journey for myself. And then once I fully define all of that information and have like that end goal and then that journey, determining what I need to do from, a day to day, and then ignoring that end goal. Because I think, sometimes we get too wrapped up on where we want to go and we forget that it's about the journey. It's about the being in the moment, right? Like like I said, like I just did this video project, and I had an end goal in mind, and I've learned so much throughout that whole process, right? And I can say that after completing that project, I know so much and am such a better um, filmmaker, editor, communicator because of that project. But um, the specifics on the day to day weren't necessarily like optimal. Okay, I feel like I'm going on a rant a little bit, but let's dial it back to preparing for 2021, right? And creating that journey and mapping out that journey from starting with the end in mind. I think I actually made a video about this like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years now, about starting with the end in mind, because I do think that's valuable. And I'm going to lens 2021 through that. But there are some like personal, like, I want to use the word conviction, but I don't know if that's correct. But, I have some irkings where I just want to make sure that I don't get wrapped up in my own ego. I've talked about ego before, but I don't want to get wrapped up in my own ego. I need to trust the process. And then I really want to step away from consuming so much, consuming efficiently, and then lean more towards the creating side of things. Um, because yeah, I've been wrapped up in consuming. You watch the same type of videos over and over. You kind of consume content, and then in your head you get this sense of accomplishment, defeat, fear, envy, and it can immobilize you. It immobilizes you, and then you're like, yo, I don't feel like doing this, or I don't think I'm good enough, or whatever. Or you might think, talking about your ego, you may think like you are too good to do something, right? I feel like that's a lot of people, right? You may think you're too good for your job. You're the smartest person in the room, or you're just so good at what you do, right? So then it hinders you from actually being humble and realizing that you have a long way to grow. And with this ego not being in check, that can prevent you from actually doing the things you need to do to get better. You know, like if you, I'm talking about cameras and filming and stuff. If you think you're a great filmmaker, right? You think, your stuff is like super amazing and that you don't need to practice, or you don't need to, or you got this because you understand it in your head, then you're not going to film or work as hard as you should be, and have a growth mindset and thinking that you can always improve on a day-to-day basis because you're like, yo, I'm the best. And that's just going to, hinder you in the long run. But if you can be humble, get that ego in check, and just be like, okay, that's my end goal. This is the journey. This is what I need to do each day. And I know I'm going to get better. Like I'm already, pretty good. I'm proud of what I've accomplished, but I got a lot of work to do. Let's buckle down. Um, so yeah, it's like determining that and then continuing your own journey. So yeah, that's when I want to spend this 2020, the end of 2020, really diving into for myself and determining, you know, purpose, but not just purpose, the journey I want to create for myself. And yeah, it's just really looking at ourselves and like, you know, where am I? Right? Where am I? What am I doing right now? Okay, what do I want to be doing? Okay, how can I get there? Or, or how can I bring this to life? What do I need to do? Okay, that's what I need to do. That's what I'm going to focus on. Boom, simple as that, you know? And habit change kind of coincides with this as well, right? New Year's, everybody wants to, create new habits and create their their journey, right? Achieve what they want to you set out their New Year's resolutions. Um, but that comes with habit change. And I think I've talked about habit change before. I mean, there's plenty of videos online about habit change and like the common books that people recommend and stuff. But a lot of times you don't want to get wrapped up in the books because you're going to read and consume all this content, but then you're not going to do anything. Like I said, like I've realized I consume too much instead of putting in practice what it is that I know, or practicing or doing the things that I want to do. And that in return has led me to, you know, be like, oh, dang, like I still haven't changed that habit, or I'm still falling back into the old ways because I'm getting too wrapped up in what I see is the end, and or just like comparing myself to other people, yada, yada, yada. But habit change. How can you effectively do habit change? Well, um, I've actually accomplished some habit changes this year. And the other day, the past couple days, I was actually looking and I was like, wow, I did that. Like I was giving myself a pat on the back and an accomplishment because it's something so small that actually amounts to something super large that I didn't realize, but I made that habit change. And that is bringing my lunch to work. Super, super simple, right? Nothing super crazy. You're like, oh, bringing your lunch. But I found, and I actually want to make a video about this specifically lunch too. Because people always talk about like coffee. If you make your own coffee, oh, that's another habit that I really developed this year is making my coffee in the morning, every morning. For those not watching the video version, I'm holding up my coffee that I made this morning. It's pretty good. Some Vietnamese coffee. But let's go back to lunch, right? Before, so I work in downtown Seattle. And for lunch, you either go to, you know, well, there's the cheapest thing in downtown Seattle for lunch is McDonald's. You can go there, but is McDonald's really that healthy? Not really. And so personally for me, I like to, try and be healthy. So I would go to Chipotle, Qdoba, Veggie Grill. There were a few times I went to like Mod Pizza and got a pizza, or there've been a few times where I would go to like Pike Place Chowder, or this one time I went to Din Tai Fung, and you know, these are this is my lunch, right? Everybody has to eat a lunch. Most people, you don't eat a breakfast, and sometimes people may not eat a dinner. But if you don't eat a breakfast and you go to work, there's no way you can make it through your whole work day, be it 9 to 6, 8 to 5, whatever your day might be, 10 to 7, whatever. If you don't eat breakfast, you have to have a lunch. Everybody has to eat something in the middle of the day, unless you have your fasting, there's always one-offs, right? But lunch. Lunch is very important. It's something that people usually eat in the middle of the day. And if your work does not provide you lunch, you may have to go out and purchase lunch, right? Unless you brought your lunch. And I found that I was purchasing lunch a lot. So 5 days a week working, and lunch would cost anywhere from 15 to $20, sometimes $10. But I know for me, I eat a lot, and my metabolism's going. Especially if I didn't eat a breakfast and I'm just empty, I'm gonna be pretty hungry, right? So then start getting these lunches, and I'm like, oh, go to Chipotle, let me get a burrito. I think if you just get the burrito, nothing else, it could come out to like $8, right? So nothing crazy. So the range we could say is $8 up to $20, because if I go to Veggie Grill or like Din Tai or something like that, those are a bit more higher end food establishments, and they charge a bit more for their prices. So $8 um on the low end, $20 on the high end. There was this one time I actually went and got sushi because I felt like treating myself, and I think that came out to like $30 for myself on lunch, which is crazy. But typically $8 to $20. It's pretty normal in downtown Seattle. So this year I decided, yo, I'm spending way too much money, and I'll tell you those calculations here in a bit, but I was spending way too much money. And why am I spending all this money when, you know, at home I could easily just make my lunch, be it leftovers or something else, and save money that way? Now, it was very hard to do this because, the convenience of just going somewhere and just paying. That's, people love that. People you love to just buy stuff. It's already prepared and you just eat it. It's super simple. And there's people at my job that eat out every single day, spending money every single day on their lunch. And so, like I said, $8 at the low end. So say if you spent $8 every day of the week that you work, if you work 40 hours a week, that's 5 days, 8 hours each. So 5 times 8 is 40, right? 52 weeks in a year. How much is that? $2,080. Okay, $2,080. Now, this is separate from what you would spend on groceries and, the things you would make at home for maybe dinner and stuff like that. And we all know if you go to the grocery store and you buy your own things, it's going to be way more cost effective, right? You're going to have your dollar stretch more. You're going to be able to, you can make a meal for $8 that could feed 4 or 5 people. Or if it's just you, that's literally $8 for the whole week, right? So $2,080 on the low end for lunch. What could you do with an extra $2,000 in your pocket, right? Think about that. And now on the high end, $20 a week times 5, that's $100 a week on the high end. If I want to be fancy, going to Veggie Grill, eating a bit more healthier, let me get this like fancy salad. Let me, eat at Nordstrom and stuff like that. Then that's $100 a week times 52. What is that? 5,200. What could you do with that extra $5,000 in your pocket? Now, most people don't think about extrapolating their expenses over the whole year, but I'm starting to realize that probably should, because that year is coming no matter what, right? It's December 2020. It's about to be 2021, like time is forever going to keep on going, right? So having an extra $5,000 in your pocket, what could that, lead you to? What could that lead to? And same with like the coffee. People spend $4 or $5 on coffee, that's like that low end of the lunch. That's like another $2,000 you could be having in your pocket if you just make your own coffee. So I recognized this and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I could bring my lunch. So what did I do? So for like 2 weeks, the night before, I would prepare my lunch and just have it already ready, put it in the little containers, put it in the bag, and then the next day I would take it. So that one little thing I did, right, just determining, okay, I need to make lunch for the next day. Let's make it the night before so it's easy. So if I wake up and I'm running a bit late, then yeah, my lunch is already packed and ready and I could just grab and go. Now, there were some nights where I was pretty lazy, right? And I didn't make my lunch. And there were a few times where I did have to buy my lunch at work. So then I was like, okay. So This is about like 3 weeks in. I maybe missed like 2 days. This is probably like a month in. I probably missed like 2 days, 2, 3 days. So I'm like, all right. So I can't make these exceptions, right? So I'm you this is how you build habits. You got to analyze what are you doing, right? What are you doing wrong, which is the reason why you're failing. So like I wasn't giving myself enough time, right, uh to make it at night. And then in the morning I wouldn't have enough time because, sometimes say I'm running a bit late, there's traffic and everything from where I live. It could take like a 45 minutes to an hour to get to Seattle. So I was like, okay, I'm being lazy and not making it at night, not giving myself enough time in the morning, and then I still go to work. So then I made this decision that I cannot leave the house unless I have my lunch. Now it gets a bit interesting, right? Now I can't leave to go to work unless my lunch is packed. Now, what does this do? Right? That's a pretty high stakes. Like what if you got to go to work, right? But if your lunch ain't ready, what are you going to do? What if you don't have lunch? Well, you better make your lunch, right? So now there's like a consequence. There's like a high stakes situation where if I don't do something, then this thing will result in happening, which is something that I don't want to happen, right? And the first time I actually put this in practice was I was late to work because I had to make my lunch in the morning, and it happened like two or three times. I was late in the morning, but I had my lunch, and that was the important thing. Now the consequence and the accountability was from work. I was late maybe like 4 minutes one time. This one time I was 10 minutes late because there was an accident. But hey, you can't predict for an unknown, right? But that was my fault. I should have gave myself even more time and have my lunch ready or prepared so that I am not late like that. So once, these situations kind of kept coming up, it was like, nah, I'm not one to be late like that. I'm what this whole year I may have been late four times by like 4 or 5 minutes. Besides that one time that was 10 minutes, and that's all my fault. That's all my doing, right? Nobody's perfect. But then now, because I put this system consequence in place, now I was forced to consistently make my lunch either the night before or get up early enough to make sure that I could prepare it in the morning. And so, literally, now it's second nature. I don't even think about not making my lunch. I just do it. And I have lunch every day. I'm on time. Everything's good. And I have my lunch. And I'm saving all this money because, I put in that time and recognized and analyzed how am I going to build this habit? How am I going to change my environment so that I can achieve what I want to achieve? And so, yeah, habit change can happen, but it's a lot of analysis and like really holding yourself accountable. So I saw that I was able to achieve that. Same thing with the coffee. So I can effectively change habits even at this stage in my life, right? Sometimes people believe that they can't change. People believe that they're stuck in their same ways, that they can't build a new habit. But I'm here to tell you you can. Why is my nose getting all like stuffy? I'm all like nasally and stuff. Sorry. It's early in the morning. So, oh well. Anyways, so you can change your habits. So, these were simple habits to change. So I'm like, okay, cool. I accomplished this. Now I have a newfound self-confidence because, I actually, achieved something. So I would say like if you want to change habits, you need to start out with something super small or something that's easy for you to do, right? And then once you accomplish that and you see that you can accomplish it, then you're going to get that newfound self-confidence for the next habit and the next habit and the next habit. And then you're just going to keep building these good habits that you decide that you want to do. You also have to have a compelling reason as to why you want to do something. I really wanted to save some money and really wanted to get to work on time. So I achieved this habit and, I got it done. Super simple. So now I'm looking at this for next year, 2021, and I'm looking at, okay, when I decide on the things that I want to achieve and I break it down on things that I need to do every single day, now it's like, okay, how am I going to make these things into a habit? How can I change my environment, tweak things a little bit, create a high stakes environment where there is some consequences that's going to allow me to achieve and accomplish the habit that I want to change? So I got some work cut out for me, but I think you should have the same work cut out for you too, because if you want to achieve something, right? And it could be something small like, I don't know, lose 10 pounds. Okay. You want to lose 10 pounds in 2021. You can do that, How? I don't know. Extrapolate it out, 1 pound a month. Okay. Which is 0.25 pounds a week. Okay, how can you do that? Oh, what can I walk? Okay, how can I make it easy for me to walk? Put my shoes right by the door or right by the bed or go to sleep in my workout clothes. And then, like there's all these little environment changes that need to help support your habit change. But then the next thing is either get an accountability partner. So if there's somebody else that has the same goal as you and they could be like, hey, why aren't you doing this? Or if somebody's relying on you, like I did for at work, they rely on me to be on time. So now I added a habit that can hinder on me being on time. So now it's like, okay, I need to achieve this habit. I need to achieve making my lunch because I don't want to let, where I work down because that's my livelihood, right? So creating these little high stake things over time, your mind, your body is just going to start doing it by muscle memory and you're not even going to trip about it. And that's what we should all strive for. We all want to strive for the non-intrusive way of doing something. You just want to do it. Like how you pull out your phone and check it. You've done that so many times that you don't even think about it, And there is a beauty in that and a curse. But the curse can be avoided if you can recognize as to why you want this impulsive behavior to be achieved, right? So, yeah, habit change. That's what I'm going to be working on. I'm actually currently editing this like vlog story because I'm trying to, improve my storytelling. And so I'm working on that. I recently started a gaming channel and, I've uploaded a few videos there. I think I've uploaded like 5, but I'm like trying to think of how I can change, how I can be different in that, just there's so much, everything's so saturated nowadays. So, like I was looking at some of my self development videos and stuff and it's like see this is my ego, talking, but I'm like looking at the things that I'm putting out and the things I'm consuming and I'm like, it's like all the same information is already out there. Like everybody knows, or those who are seeking what they want to change or learn or habit change, or if it's minimalism or something like that, people understand what that is, right? But there's also a ton of content that's already tackling it. Obviously it's not my point of view, so you don't get my side of things, but it's already out there. There's a lot of stuff that's already out there. And so, you know, I'm, second guessing myself as to like, okay, I want to be different. If I want to be different, then what can I do that will be different? Or actually, not even want to be different. It's just like I have a certain type of way I think. I think in uh I'm using this word a lot in a extrapolary sense. I think not only black and white, but in color and in depth and in volume. Probably makes no sense. But I think in 3D, right? I feel like I understand things at a deeper level, and I want to take the time to dive in, indulge, wrap myself around, and then, you know, I want to fully extrapolate. Dang, this is the third time I use that word. Extrapolate my thoughts in a way that my viewers can understand and actually get this deep understanding in the thing that I'm actually super, super interested in. And I think there's only like one, two, I think maybe three channels that I follow that are masters of this. Um, the one that comes to mind the most is Johnny Harris. Hopefully, I'm not messing up his name. I gotta double check this real quick because I don't want to butcher his name or anything. Yeah, I'm right. Johnny Harris. He does a great job at, well, he would say he's not really, but it's like a informative journalism that's entertaining and engaging. The the story of whatever topic he may be researching, he can articulate himself in a way where he is not only a bystander in whatever environment and how it affects him and his mind, but how he has a certain knack to understand and seek out information that isn't easily apparent, right? Easily available. And I think that type of thinking, that type of video, that type of exploration of oneself and their environment around them is needed now more than ever because of 2020, right? A lot of people are learning and realizing a lot of things in this world happen that can affect them, but they don't truly understand. There's so many systems in place and so much, just a ton of unknown, because you only know something when you know it, which is crazy. Like like the world works in a crazy way, and a lot of people don't understand how it works, and that intrigues me. There's so much I've learned this year. Like, I never knew who the governor of Washington was, or the local official, or like who Cuomo was, or Newsom, and like, the people in the White House and the cabinet, and like I didn't even know who Dr. Fauci was until this year, and he's like the person that's the doctor that's, CDC. I didn't even know what the CDC was, or the WHO. Like, who? What? How did I not know what these organizations were? And I'm living on this earth, you know. And there's so much other stuff, right? Like with this whole election thing, I didn't even know that there's like specific like companies that are checking or running this, or who's auditing this, and like there's just like all these little things and systems, and just crazy information that I had no clue about. Like like I recently learned about the fairness doctrine. You probably have no idea what that is, but it was a law that from 1949 to 1987 was put in place for broadcasters. They had to show the opposing viewpoints on any topic that they're talking about. And then also, if somebody is talking like smack about somebody, that person has the chance to defend themselves, right? This was, you know, dismissed or put away because, a lot of they people felt like it was a an infringement on First Amendment rights, right? So the freedom of speech. And so this led to, all the different news organizations, and, the barrier to entry is super low. Like anybody can just have a podcast or create a newscast and stuff like that. But then you create the situation we have today where a lot of people don't get the opposing viewpoints of anything that they are seeing. If someone is only watching Fox, they're only going to get Fox's viewpoint. They're not going to see the opposing side. And there's a false sense of uh, opposing viewpoints with all those like discussions and fake panels and stuff that the news likes to portray. But people think they're informed, but they really only know a piece of the puzzle. They don't know what the end picture is supposed to look like. So it's kind of crazy. And I was reading about the fairness doctrine, and I was like, yo, this is crazy. And it was, I was trying to come back up, and I think the only person who brought it back up recently was Tulsi Gabbard, 2019. She like made some like bill about it, but like it's just crazy. Like there's so much stuff that affects us or has affected us from the past, that the reason why the world is today is because of certain decisions, 1 2 10 12 maybe 30 people made like 20 30 years ago. So it's just super crazy to think about. I think a great documentary, if you wanted to watch one, that actually talks about this, it recently came out on Netflix. um what is it? Why can't I think of it? I can't think of it, but oh my gosh, this, I can't recommend something for you, um, and not know. Oh, The Social Dilemma. So the documentary, The Social Dilemma. Um, there's a lot of people on it that were speaking, and it was like some of the few individuals who founded like Facebook or Instagram at the very beginning, and like stuff like that. And like there's this one guy who worked at Facebook, and he was the one who created the like button. And the crazy thing is, for him, he created the like button just so people could share like joy, like, oh yeah, I like this, right? But didn't realize that that one decision has led to literally how social media is today. Um, right? Everybody wants likes and followers and like all that stuff. Whoever has the most likes usually gets paid more, and like you have more status, and like all this other things that Instagram, TikTok, uh, Twitter, like the list goes on. But it all stems from this one guy who created the like button, which is super wild. And you can see he had these like kind of existential thoughts when he was sitting there. And the crazy thing is, like a lot of these people were like, reflecting on like, yeah, we use our phone way too much and all this stuff, but it's like, I understand that it's bad for you, but I still do it anyways. This kind of goes back to that habit change and environment change. Sometimes these this habit is something that is so new And for those of you just listening, I'm holding up my iPhone right now. But the habit of being on your phone or an iPad or just on media in general, um, nobody knows the effects of this, right? It's a relatively new thing in the grand scheme of human life, right? It's only been like the past, what, 15, 20 years, that like media was, to the point. So we don't really have that much data to see the effects, but we can see how rapidly, things are changing, which is super crazy. I feel like I'm getting like all existential myself right now. But yeah, it's just kind of crazy when you're like those individuals, know the bad side effects of social media, like comparing yourself to other people and like wanting that validation and the likes and like all that stuff. But we still do it. And I feel like a lot of people recognize that. A lot of people are like, oh, these phones, these whatever, these, Instagram, TikTok, all this stuff, but people still use it. And maybe it taps into, and I'm pretty sure there's research out here, and see this is where, my thoughts kind of get running and turning, and it's like something that I want to research because why not understand? But like the effects on the community aspect of social media to our biological community needs, right? So, you know, human beings, you go back, you survived in groups. You survived in a community, right? You had the hunter and gatherers and the moms and the elders, and like everybody had these like tight knit communities, right? For like maybe like 50, 100 people. But now our communities are massive, right? Millions of people, and you need, in these small tribes and stuff that we had back in the day, you needed the validation and the approval of everybody else, because if everybody else hated you, then you would be kicked out of the group, and then you're by yourself and you probably die, right? So now you extrapolate that, you know, biological fundamental, and you look at us now in society where it's like, okay, now we have millions of people following us, or like we want millions of people to see us, or we want this validation, right? And then there's the people who, you get shunned by thousands and millions of people. How does that feel? How does that affect you, right? And then maybe that need to have community and that need for us to, be social beings is the reason why we're addicted to this phone, because that validation gives us a false sense of self-worth, because I feel like a lot of people are realizing now that 2020, that's not gonna, all the stuff that we think mattered really doesn't matter. Crazy. Yeah. Um man, I am so nasally right now. This is so weird. Um I talked about a lot on this. This is a welcome back rant. But yeah. Make sure you guys follow me on all my socials and my YouTube and subscribe, and you know, working on some stuff, and I'm just excited, like I said, like knowing that I could build habits, and knowing that I've accomplished, when I look back at 2020, is like, yo, I did a lot this year. I am proud of myself, and I don't think I've said that enough. I think that this might be actually the first time that I said that I'm proud of myself, because yeah, I started, this podcast. Connected with so many people. I, you know, have a great project. I filmed a wedding, like I did a lot of cool stuff this year. And I think December is the perfect time for reflection and looking towards the future. I think people need to actually do self reflection and give themselves a pat on the back on the things that they've accomplished. And, I actually really like that. I kind of want to make just a separate video talking about that, especially because I feel like people need to hear that, especially going into 2021, thinking that 2020 was the worst year ever. But I think it's been a great year, and there's a lot of horrible things that have happened, but a lot of horrible things happen all the time. And so it's like recognizing that, being grateful for where you are, what you've been able to do, and, look to the future with optimistic eyes and just live in the present and, just soak it all in. But, all right, I've been talking for like 50 minutes, and hopefully this is hopefully this is the start of, no, this is not hopefully, no, see, look, I'm over here already like putting these like filler fluffer words. It's like, nah, this is the welcome back. I got my system in place. I'm gonna keep churning them out, and we'll see where it goes. I might do something with this video though. For the video version, I have this idea of, oh, actually, I don't want to spoil it, because one thing I've also learned is if you talk about things, sometimes you don't finish them. And when you talk about something and you don't finish it, that loses your credibility. Also, when you talk about things, you get this false sense of accomplishment just because you spoke about it instead of actually doing it. So I will leave that at that. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. And as always, what? What am I saying? And as always, you found me. And until next time, peace.